This video is for the lesson 3.2b notes. We're still writing linear equations from a graph. So step one is to identify the slope and the y-intercept. And then step two is write the equation in slope-intercept form. And slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. All right, so from a graph, we have to have two nice points. And so we've got those points. There's one here, I know it's kind of hard to see, and there's one here on the x-axis. So to find the slope, we always go from left to right. So we're going to go up and over. So our first move always has to be up. We're going to go up and over. So I went up 1, 2, 3, and I went over 1. Make sure that you're always simplifying these fractions. If you're not sure, all you have to do is type them in, alpha y1, press enter, and if they change, then that's the simplest form. And then we have to find the y-intercept. And the y-intercept is where the graph line crosses the y-axis. So since this is not labeled, we're going to start at the origin and we're going to count down. 1, 2, 3. Since I went down 3, my y-intercept is negative 3. So my slope is 3, my y-intercept is negative 3. So my equation is going to be y equals, slope comes first, then the x, and then the y-intercept. Remember, if it's a negative, we do minus 3. So on the next one, here's our 2 points from here to here. My first move has to be up or down, and we always move from left to right. So from here to here, we're going to go down and over. So we're going down 1, 2, 3, and then, so that's a negative 3, and then we're going over 2. So that is our slope, negative 3 over 2. Our y-intercept is where our graph line crosses the y-axis. I'm going to start at the origin. I'm going to count up, 1, 2, and so that's my y-intercept. So my equation always starts with y equals, then the slope, tack on the x, and then the y-intercept. It's a positive 2, so we do plus 2. All right, so here are our 2 points, here and here. So we always move from left to right to find the slope. So to go from here to here, we have to go up first and then over. So we went up 2, over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, if you're not sure if that fraction is in simplest form, make sure that you're typing it into your calculator. This is my y-intercept. It's where my graph line crosses the y-axis. So here's my origin, and I go up 2. So my y-intercept is a positive 2. So my equation always starts with y equals, slope comes first, then the x, then my y-intercept. All right, on number 4, here are my 2 points. So from left to right, my first move has to be up or down. So to go from here to here, I have to go down and then over. So for my slope, I went down 3, so that's a negative 3. If you go down, if that's your first move, it's a negative. Over 1, that simplifies to a negative 3. My y-intercept is right here. So from the origin, I went up 1. So my y-intercept is 1. So y equals, slope comes first, tack on the x, and then the y-intercept. All right, on number 5, here are my nice 2 pretty points. So from left to right, I'm going to go up and then over. So I went up 3, over 2, and then my y-intercept, start at the origin. So here's my y-intercept point. I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, and that's my y-intercept. So y equals 3 over 2x plus 3. All right, on number 6, here are my 2 points. So from left to right, I have to go down first and then over. So I went down 2, so that's a negative 2, over 3. Y-intercept is right here. So from the origin, I'm going down 1, 2. So if I go down, it's a negative 2. So my equation starts with y equals, slope comes first, tack on the x, and then the y-intercept. All right, number 11. Here are my 2 points from here to here. I'm going to go down and then over. 1, 2, 3. So slope is down 3. So a negative 3 over 3. Again, this is a good one I can show you. Make sure you're checking your fractions. Negative 3 on top, positive 3 on the bottom, simplifies to a negative 1. My y-intercept is at the origin, so that means my y-intercept is 0. So for this equation, y equals, now I could write negative 1x plus 0, but there are some things that we simplify in slope-intercept form. We never put a 1 in front of the x. That's our invisible math. So we would write y equals, we do have to keep the negative, we just make the 1 invisible. We also make the plus 0 at the end invisible because adding 0 to an equation does not change the value. It doesn't make a difference in the equation. So for this line, our equation would be y equals negative x. Okay? So if your y-intercept is 0, you can leave it off. If your slope is a 1 or a negative 1, just make the 1 invisible. All right, on this one, here are my points. So from left to right, I'm going to go down and over. So I went down 2, so that's a negative 2, over 3. And then my y-intercept is right here. From the origin, I go up 1. So my equation, y equals, slope comes first, tack on the x, and then the y-intercept. Now, if the y-intercept is 1, you do have to put that plus 1. So it's the same as if I give you $1, that's going to change the amount of money you have. So you do have to include if the y-intercept is 1. When you don't is when the y-intercept is 0.